You are waking up weaker than you went to sleep because you are ignoring the most powerful 8 hours of your day. Edgar Cayce revealed that while your body rests, your soul is either healing or leaking energy in 3 specific dimensions. Today, I'm going to give you the exact one-step formula to reorganize your soul tonight and wake up with unbreakable emotional strength. Before I go deeper, stay with me until the end. I'll give you a practical, bedside ritual you can try tonight. And if this holds any power for you, please subscribe and share your experience so we can learn together. I learned to listen to these readings the way one listens to weather reports before a journey, as guidance from a longer view. For decades, Edgar Cayce sat in trance and described what the sleeping self encounters. The tapes say libraries of life, healing temples, and borderlands riddled with unresolved knots. My interest has never been academic alone. I have sat with people who came to me exhausted by grief or shaken by trauma, and who, after intentional sleep work, described a stability that felt, and often was, new. I don't promise miracles. I offer what has been recorded and what seekers report when they prepare their sleep with intention. The map I will lay out is simple. First dimension, personal integration. Second dimension, karmic clearing and guidance. Third dimension, the Akashic communion and soul-strengthening presence. Each dimension has its own texture, its own smells and sounds, its own kind of encounter. Each one also yields a specific kind of emotional resource. I will illustrate each with a concise documented case, then translate that into what it means for your evening practice and for the way you wake up into your day. The first dimension is close, intimate, and tactile. Imagine the space just beyond your body, a narrow corridor of memory and feeling where recent hurts, anxieties, and small defeats collect like winter coats against a chair. The bedside in this dimension hums with the low frequency of your daily life. In popular terms, this is where your day meets your deeper self to sort what stays and what must be released. The silver cord, Cayce's frequent image for the tie that keeps the soul connected to the body, runs through this corridor. When it vibrates with tension, you wake anxious. When it is slack and warm, you wake rested. One documented reading tells of a businessman overwhelmed by loss. Accounts say he had lost his company and his home. At night, he found himself in a dim room where small clock-like mechanisms were being tended by hands of light. Each mechanism corresponded to a regret or a debt. The hands did not judge. They eased a gear, rewound a tight spring, and warmed the metal until the burden untangled. He woke with an inner steadiness that allowed him to accept help and to begin again.
This is described in Cayce's files as a nocturnal reordering that corresponded to later shifts in attitude and action, not instant miracles, but real shifts that allowed practical recovery, according to the documented reading. What this means for you: before sleep, place your attention on that corridor and name, gently, what you wish to set down. Sit for 3 minutes and breathe into each item, not to fix it immediately, but to hand it over to the night for sorting. Visualize the silver cord loosening its crank where it is knotted, and feel the warmth spread down your spine. This simple giving is the one-step move that opens the first dimension. Set an intention to let the night rearrange what you cannot shift in the day. The second dimension has a different tone. Its architecture resembles water and archives at once, streams that carry images and a library where past actions, sometimes from other lifetimes, are displayed not to condemn but to teach. In the Cayce vocabulary, this is where karmic patterns come up for review and negotiated healing can begin. It is not always gentle. The night may show you the same scene repeated with variations, asking you to trace how your choices led there. But it also offers practices of atonement and energetic exchange, rituals of repair guided by beings Cayce referred to as healers or guides of light. One reading recounts a mother whose child faced a severe illness. In the nocturnal scene, she entered a white temple by the shore. There, figures of gentle light assisted her in unbinding old cords that linked her to ancestral patterns of anxiety and fear, patterns that had exacerbated the family's vulnerability. She woke with the clarity to combine medical care with a steadier, less frantic caregiving presence. Again, Cayce's records framed this as an experience reported by the subject, which correlated with later measurable calm and improved care, complementary to medical attention, not a substitute, according to the documented reading. For practical work, before you sleep, acknowledge the pattern you want to address: fear of running out, repeating an old relationship script, the loop of self-sabotage. Speak a short sentence of intent. I intend to see and heal the pattern that keeps me from, name the aim. Allow an image to come without forcing it. If you find intense images, stop and breathe. Seek professional support if the material becomes destabilizing. The one-step formula here is the same as before: intention plus surrender, but applied to deeper threads. The night will show you the knot. His readings suggest that naming it aloud at the bedside opens a corridor of assistance. The third dimension is the most expansive and most often mischaracterized by sensationalists. Imagine a vast library whose stacks are not books but living records. Akashic records, a phrase Cayce used and that seekers still use, where the essence of choices, potentials, and soul contracts are stored.
The air here is clear and tastes like rain after a long drought. The presence is not merely informational, it is strengthening. In Cayce's vision, contact with this field can realign one's purpose, infusing the waking self with resilience that persists because it is sourced beyond the daily ego. This is the level that yields what I call unbreakable emotional strength, not invulnerability, but a rootedness that recovers. A prominent reading speaks of a veteran haunted by wartime memories who, in trance, described being led through narrow grasses to a golden hall where his fear was translated into a different language, into meaning, covenant, and a sense of belonging to a larger story. When he returned to waking life, the panic remained a memory, but no longer controlled his actions. He could breathe and be present. The files present this as a report from the individual and an interpretation by Cayce that the soul had been helped to integrate its traumatic imprint according to the documented reading. How to access this dimension responsibly? Your bedside ritual must include a quieting that is not avoidance. Lie down and, with hands on your belly, breathe until you can feel the soft rise and fall 3 times. Then, with the same phrase of intention, short and clear, request connection to the field of higher insight. I intend to meet what will strengthen my heart and purpose. Visualize a gentle white light descending like a dawn, filling your chest and the space around your bed. Do not chase visions. If nothing dramatic happens, that is fine. The field works subtly. The one-step formula remains. Set intention, then surrender into sleep, trusting that the night will do the restructuring your will cannot force. Throughout these three dimensions, certain symbols recur. The silver cord as tether and umbilicus, the white light of protection that keeps you safe while you travel, and the library or temple that holds records for healing. Use them sparingly in your imaginal work. Imagine the silver cord softening. See the white light forming a gentle sphere around you. Sense a warm librarian or being of light who nods and points the way. These images are not magical incantations, they are anchors for attention. And Cayce's readings are full of such images because they provide a consistent language for the sleeping soul. I must pause here and offer the caution every teacher in this domain owes. The nocturnal world holds both helpers and those we might call entanglements. Earthbound spirits, parasitic energies, the residues of unprocessed anger. Cayce's material speaks of these not to frighten, but to instruct. If you encounter oppressive images, stop, ground, and seek help. Never attempt deep projection or obsessive nocturnal pursuit without guidance. If you are under psychiatric care, pregnant, or struggling with severe dissociation, consult your clinician before attempting intensive dream work.
The readings. Maintain the flux and connection. Connect with, if you are under psychiatric care, pregnant, or struggling with severe dissociation, consult your clinician before attempting intensive dream work. A middle-aged businessman, bankrupt and sleepless, found himself in a small room where hands of light rewound his anxieties into soft thread. He woke with a capacity to ask for help and to accept restructuring of his affairs. This shift is recorded in Cayce's files as a nocturnal reordering that supported practical recovery according to the documented reading. A young mother facing her child's illness described a shoreside temple where guides helped loosen ancestral cords of fear. She returned to caregiving with steadier presence and coordinated medical choices. The documented reading frames this as complementary spiritual assistance to physical care, according to Cayce's files. A veteran haunted by flashbacks was led through a grassy path into a hall of faces where his fear was witnessed and renamed into service. He regained the ability to tolerate proximity without collapse. Cayce's reading records this as an integrative nocturnal experience aiding the veteran's recovery, according to the documented reading. Notice the pattern. These nights do not promise instant cures. They reorganize the inner landscape enough that action becomes possible. In the language of resilience, healing is less an event than a new operating system. That is the unbreakable strength I am describing. It is an emergent property of a prepared sleep. The night works on your behalf when you stop trying to manage everything by daylight alone. So what is the exact single step Cayce's body of work points to, distilled and clear? It is intentional surrender. Across files and bedside reports, the consistent instruction is to set a clear moral intention before sleep. One short sentence that names what you want the night to tend, and then surrender without striving. This is not passive magical thinking. It is disciplined handing over. The handoff is literal in the accounts. Name, let go, and allow the nocturnal aid to reweave your inner architecture. Here is a practical bedside ritual you can do tonight. Lie down as you would for sleep. Place one hand over your heart and one over your belly. Breathe slowly until the breath lengthens 2 counts longer than usual. Say aloud, if you can, one short intention. Tonight, I intend healing for state what, and I surrender the rest. Visualize a white light settling like a blanket. Imagine the silver cord warming at your base and loosening its tension. If images appear, watch them without engaging. If feels of fear come, wrap them in the white light and name them. This is fear. Then return to your breath.
Keep your intention. System. Text-to-speech generation. None of these accounts promise miraculous removal. What they show is reconfiguration, an interior economy rearranged so that ordinary recovery work becomes possible. With that in view, here is a guided visualization you can read to yourself or record and play softly before sleep. Aim for 10 to 15 minutes. Speak slowly. If you are in therapy or medicated for sleep or trauma, clear this with your clinician first. Guided visualization before sleep. 1. Settle. Lie down as you prepare for sleep. Place one hand on your heart, one on your belly. Take 3 slow breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, lengthening the exhale by 2 counts beyond your usual rhythm. 2. Name. Say aloud or silently one short intention. Tonight I intend healing for name what, and I surrender the rest. Keep it simple. 3. Body scan. Begin at your toes. Breathe into any tightness you find. Imagine the breath traveling like a warm tide up through the feet, ankles, calves, knees, thighs, pelvis, softening as it goes. Let the shoulders drop. Let the jaw unclench. 4. The white blanket. Visualize a soft white light gathering above you, like a linen sheet warmed by sun. It settles over the crown of your head and moves slowly down, settling at your shoulders, chest, and belly. As it covers you, feel a loosening at the base of the spine. Imagine a silver cord there that gradually unwinds one tight loop at a time. 5. The hands of light. See gentle hands, transparent, kind, working at knots you recognize as fear, guilt, pain, or confusion. Watch them rewind these threads into a tidy spool. If an image comes that frightens you, name it fear and let the hands wrap it in white light. You do not have to follow the story. Remain the witness. 6. The small handoff. Picture placing your intention into a small wooden box or into the hands of a trusted guide in the scene. Close the lid or allow the guide to receive it. Say, I have done my asking. I release the rest. 7. Drift. Allow images to rise and fall without insistence. If sleep comes, let it. If you remain awake, return to the breath and to the white blanket until you feel ready to move toward sleep. 8. Waking and integration. If you wake in the night with material from the visualization, breathe, hold it lightly, and write a single line about it. No analysis, just observation. In the morning, read the line and decide one small action you can take today that aligns with the intention.
Safety note: if the visualization brings distressing memories or intensifies panic, stop and contact a therapist or support person. Use this practice as a companion to professional care, not a substitute. Try this ritual for a week. Keep a simple log, date, 1-sentence intention, 1-sentence morning note. Look for small shifts, a shorter rehearsal of worry, an easier start to work, a steadier hand when you hold another. If you find a steadiness forming, tell someone who can help you steward it.
If it destabilizes you, seek help immediately. If you decide to practice, consider recording your voice reading these steps in a gentle tone and playing it at low volume as you lie down. And if, in time, you notice the night doing what nights do, rewiring edges so you can act in the day, leave a note for others. Say how the night met you and what the morning asked of you. That exchange, small and honest, is part of the labor of recovery.